Strange Destinations, the show where innovators share the tales of the accidents, the inspirations and the connections which led them to create their own unique paths. I'm your host, Dan O'Grady, co-founder of Simpatico, and this show is brought to you by Silicon Beach Radio. Now a quick word from our sponsors.
Silicon Beach Radio, proudly sponsored by Allied Legal, legal advisors to innovative businesses. MYOB, business software that sets you up for success. Victory Offices, flexible workspace solutions, premium serviced offices, co-working, lounge space, virtual office and meeting spaces.
Welcome to Strange Destinations, and on today's show we have the wonderful Kiki Makrogiannis. Welcome, Kiki.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So for the people out there, Kiki, how do you describe what you do?
In short, I'd say entrepreneur, but then it sort of evolves to, so from business owner to several business owning, and then other jobs attached to that being speaker and jokester and influencer somewhat. And a bit of an all-rounder in the marketing and branding space. And
have you always had that kind of all-rounder approach to things, or were you previously focused on a particular career?
Previously, I was most definitely in the corporate world before, and it was pretty much just the job at hand, and that was it. I suppose when I started my first business, it just sort of boomed from there because it was my own thing. I got to create something. When your ideas start going and you start thinking about things more and more, things get more exciting and you want to do more and expand more and grow, and then it just, everything happens, and it just goes from there.
So it's been just a kind of process where things have come up and ideas have taken hold and you've poured petrol on them, so to speak.
Definitely. Moving from the first business to sort of what I'm doing now, a lot of it came because of finding whichever my niche was. So at the time, the niche being within the trade community, just seeing the different opportunities within the business of how I can help and support more people. It sort of made the business evolve and faster. So that's sort of how a bit of this came up, a bit of that came up, a bit of recruitment, advertising, marketing, branding, and all the rest of it. So.
And were those kind of things areas which had been of interest to you previously, like when you were younger, or is this something which has kind of sprung anew for you?
I'd say sprung anew because I've always been a creative person. I've always enjoyed, like a little bit of theatrics, and I was quite artsy as a kid. Mm-hmm. So coming into the whole content creation world, I suppose I sort of flourished a bit more in that space because it allowed me to sort of do that. But previous to starting my businesses, it was very much just corporate world. This is the job, do the job, that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So there wasn't much creative leeway in the corporate world for you, was there?
No, definitely not.
So when you were a kid, what kind of artsy pursuits were the ones that you followed?
I was definitely much in the drama scene, so I loved doing sort of the theatre stuff. So when there was like school shows on and that, I was very much involved in that. So from singing and acting and dancing. And then I was very artsy in the way of artistically, like I was a great painter and drawer and that sort of stuff. So I liked to dabble in that. Mm-hmm. But then I was quite sciencey as well. I really did love the sciences and that. And I was like a straight A student in physics and chemistry and that. So... Yeah. I sort of loved a bit of everything, but I really did love the creative aspect of, I suppose, of myself and having that aspect.
Yeah, and it's interesting that there can sometimes be both sides. I went through a bit of that myself at school, doing kind of like fine art, then also doing science and then doing literature, and getting pulled up, in my final year at school going, you're ruining your career. You're not just following one stream, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I usually got, because obviously being from an ethnic background as well, I usually got, why are you not a doctor? You be a dentist or a doctor. That's sort of your two options. And it was, as much as I love the sciences and that sort of stuff, it just wasn't I just wasn't really that interested in following it like that.
Yep.
So by the time I finished high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I never really pursued a university career. After school, I just sort of went straight into the corporate world and worked and learnt sort of on the go with that sort of stuff. So.
And did that meet with parental approval, or was that still not quite up to the standard of being a doctor or following through on your...
It doesn't quite have its bragging rights
Right.
amongst parents, but I think it was good because I saw, like a successful woman in the working world, and I had a good job. It wasn't just, just starting out in like little local shops and stuff. Like I was straight into the corporate world. ANZ Bank was one of my big first jobs. And, like I worked my way up through there and, I did a lot of that sort of stuff. So I proved myself to my parents in a different aspect. So I'm quite proud of that. And plus I got to make money and buy my own car and that sort of stuff. So that was a bonus as well.
Yeah.
They didn't pay for anything, so it was all right.
They're always going to love that.
Yeah.
And how were you seen by your parents now? Is there kind of a perception that you're...
They really do love, I really do love what I'm doing. Well, I'd say my mum, because my father passed away 4.5 years ago. But he was a tradie, and that's sort of what got me into doing something with a tradie. So he was a builder. So that's sort of how my story comes about, is because I love the whole trade world, because that's what I grew up in. That's what I was, when I finished school, I'd be on a job site with my dad, helping him put some tiles on the floor or put trusses up and building the frames and stuff. So I've always dabbled in that stuff too. And having the opportunity after having kids to sort of think about what I really want to do with my life now that I've had kids and I'm married, the whole idea of working with trades from an advertising point of view came up, and I just went with it, and that's where it sort of led me to today. So if my dad could see me now, because it's only been 2 years within this industry, I know my dad would be very proud of sort of what I'm doing for the trade community. But my mum tells me every day how proud she is and how far, I've come within a couple of years doing what I'm doing. So, yeah. And she's on LinkedIn as well, so she sees everything.
Right, okay. So she gets to see the legacy unfold post by post.
Yep.
That's great. So in terms of that, so you've obviously come a long way from how you saw yourself as a kid, and kind of an artsy kid with a science bent. If you ran into that 15-year-old artsy sciencey kid, what would they make of you now, do you think?
I think they'd probably turn around and just say it's about bloody time you started doing something a bit more creative. Like, it's about time you're making video. Not that really there was that much video stuff available then. Like when I was going to school, mobile phones were only just starting. So, we didn't have all that capability. But, like I actually do wish we had a lot of that back then, because I suppose a lot of us would be in very much different positions now. But I think we're all doing quite well with what we've got. And I think that my 15-year-old would be like, damn girl, thank God you plucked your eyebrows and grew up a little bit, and, you've become a good young woman. That's as much as I can really say. I don't know what my 15-year-old self would say.
A healthy self-assessment from a 15-year-old, And what are some of the challenges that you've kind of, faced in getting to where you are now?
I'd say probably within the last 2 years, being so active on LinkedIn, it does tend to take its toll on you. Like, because if for anyone that is trying to get into the space, you've got to be really active. You've got to be consistent. You've got to post all the time. You've got to be dedicated if you really want to grow, your brand and your message. And it does take its toll, but you really need to sort of schedule yourself and really try and funnel it in a way where it doesn't take too much off you, if that makes sense. I know there's a lot of mistakes I made at the beginning of it, and I just invested way too much into it too fast. and went through the burnout stage, and then sort of starting to deter off track, and then having to come back again. And yeah, I think one mistake I made was just putting just way too much too fast into this process, and really burning myself out.
So it's just that kind of energy management more than time management by the sound of it.
Yeah, have a plan. A plan of attack is probably the best thing to do when you're going into this, and really try and have some form of routine with it. But I suppose each person's different. When you're working from home, you've got 2 little ones as well, starting businesses, and that it does take its toll as well. And you just really got to take care of yourself. That's probably the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you find, running a business, raising a family all at the same time?
I am so tired, so tired. It's really been an eye-opener for me, probably a real testament to, myself and my husband as well, who've been really supportive from the whole beginning process and that too. So he's been a great help with the kids and that. And when I did start my businesses, my little one was only 6 months old and my eldest was just over 2. So it was really, I really did juggle it quite a bit. And now it's a lot easier now because they're a little bit older, so they understand it better. But I'd say the whole routine thing, if you don't have a routine, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You really are. You really need to manage your time better, and sleepless nights and that. But that's part of the process. If you really want to do something, you'll put all your efforts into it.
Yeah. And have there been any benefits, do you think, to actually raising kids and running a business at the same time that you may not have had from just running the business without?
I'd say the fact that I get to spend so much time with my kids is a bonus, because I know a lot of people out there don't have that opportunity as well. So being able to say have them for 3 days a week and have them 2 days in, kinder and that, it is only a few hours here and there, but it's still, you have a bit of a break, but then you've got all this time with your family. So you're not really missing out on too much, which is a good thing. Yeah, I'd say that's probably the bonus, that is still being able to spend time with them doing it. And I suppose them seeing me as a hard worker as well. I know they're still quite early on, but they'll see me being a hard worker and hope that it shows something. It shows something to them, and I hope they grow up going, yeah, my mum worked hard to get what she's got and buy us all the stuff that we want.
Yeah.
I suppose that's a good thing as well, if they see that.
Yeah. So. That's right. And they also probably get to see, although they don't understand, also some of the struggles and mistakes you make as well.
Yeah. Or usually come down like at 1 o'clock in the morning, like, Mummy, where are you? And I'm like, I'm still working.
Yeah.
I have to catch up on the admin work.
Yeah. And, how have mistakes, played a part in what you've built?
I would say from a mistake point of view, it's made me realise how I can help other people achieve their goals faster. Because it's always a bonus, you learning from your mistakes, and how to avoid certain things when you're trying to tackle something. But I suppose now that I'm in the branding space as well, and I'm helping a lot more other people, from a strategy point of view, it's made it easier to say, go down this path, do it this way. It's going to help you achieve, that goal faster. And it's not going to take you 2 years. It might take you 12 months. I suppose where it's taken me 2 years to achieve something. So I suppose I've got better advice to give people, and I can steer them in the right direction, so they don't have to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
And so what would be probably the smallest thing that's made the biggest difference to you so far?
Probably say just my time management in running a business and managing kids, and that is getting that right made a huge difference in the amount of time I spend with my kids, the amount of time I get to actually sleep at night, and then up again the next day. So managing my time, my admin, my everything, and even like video calls and all the rest of it, I've really had to work hard to sort of manage that better. And it is only a minute thing, but it's probably played the biggest part. Me trying to have a normal family life, especially come weekends. So.
And how close are you to achieving that?
I'm still far way off, but I'd probably say give me another couple of months, and I think I've got it down pat. So.
Okay, so you're on track.
I'm on track. Yeah.
And where do you, I guess, draw your kind of influence and inspiration from?
Inspiration and influence. I'd probably I'd go off my family life, like my mum, my parents in general, what my dad was like, and I'm a lot like my father. I've got the drive and the dedication like him, and I always look at that and go, look how hard they worked for us, without having all the things we've got now. And I just look at that and like, I want to give my kids the same as what they've given me, the opportunities they've given me, and the privileges and everything else that comes with it. So my husband, my kids, obviously that's inspiration enough. I'm like, one day I'd like, my husband to end up being like the house husband and me be the working chick, and he can stay home and manage the kids, and that would be a nice dream long term down the track. Yeah.
And amongst all this, do you manage to make or find time just for yourself?
Honestly, it's very, very rare I get time for myself. But again, that's the whole part of being an entrepreneur and building a business, especially if you're not, within 2 years, you're not totally established. And it's not like I've got 100 staff working for me yet. I'd say I try every so often, whether it's on the weekends, trying to get my mum to watch the kids for a couple hours. So even my husband and I can go out and watch a movie in peace.
Yeah.
We do try every so often to try and do something minute. But yeah, it's usually, if they're at kinder, I've got about half an hour to go get my nails done or something. So
yeah, it's
definitely a juggling act.
Which is hard when you've got big, long nails.
Yes, most definitely.
Excellent. Well, I better let you go. I know how busy you are. Well, one last thing. Could you describe what you do badly?
What I do badly? Time management. I'd say sometimes, like, I think that I'm on my way there sometimes. I'd say time management is definitely something I do quite poorly as well. So I do try and practice what I preach. But it is still something. And I'd say it's probably because when you do have kids as well, there's a lot of curveballs that come into play as well. So regardless of routines and schedules and all the rest of it, kids most definitely keep it interesting and change things up for you. So time management is definitely something I can do quite badly sometimes. And
you still manage to get a lot done. So, it's
again, at detriment of my sleep time. So I don't get much sleep. It's all good.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for your time. If people want to follow you, get in touch with you, what are the best ways for them to reach out to you?
I'd say LinkedIn is definitely my number one platform of choice. So you'll always find me on there. But I'm also on Instagram, The Real Kiki, and Facebook, Kiki Enterprises, as well as on there. And Twitter, I think, is The Real Kiki as well.
I'll put all the links in the show notes. So thanks for your time, Kiki. And thanks to everyone listening to this week's Strange Destinations. I'm your host, Dan O'Grady, and this has been brought to you by Silicon Beach Radio and Simpatico. Cheers.